Hey there, everybody. It's Lauren Blanchard-Zaleski here. I apologize for the technical difficulties. They always seem to happen when I have somebody very special, important to me on. I'm going to wait. I see two people are on already. All of a sudden, StreamYard just stopped being able to accept new people. So then I was trying to do Zoom and then that didn't work. So my apologies. I know our time is very, very important. But I really wanted to get this broadcast going. All right, let's see what comments we've got so far. Hi, Glendale. Hi, Jen. Nice to see you. Jen is one of your big fans there, Judith.
Hi.
Looks great, sweetie. Right here we have a very important, all of our guests are important, but a very important to me guest. As you guys know, that I'd rather have no guest than somebody that doesn't really talk about what it is that we do here in AOG. And it was really cool once I announced Judith, like everybody was like, I love that book. I love that book. And different books, Judith. This is Judith Orloff MD. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you very much for being here. I got up the guts to ask her, and she said yes, which thrilled me. But I've told you guys about this book several times. As you can see, none of these stickers were here before I asked Judith. That's just my personal stuff. I'm not sure what made me buy the book. I think one of the things is that when I was getting readings of it somehow, I was reading them and I realized how much they apply to me too, living with chronic pain and illness. And it was just every day, every day was just when that too, that too, that too. So then I ended up getting a copy of the books for each of the admins. So now we read them together every day, and now they're addicted. And Deborah Immers got addicted to them, and she donated the guest copy for our guest. So please, if you haven't put your name in that you're here, please put your name in so we can do the drawing. I'm not going to waste any more time because we've wasted time with the technical difficulties already. But Judith, what I really liked about you and what it is that you teach is just that it's so apropos to everything. I find really apropos to everything. I'm not sure that I considered myself a huge empath before, and I'm not sure if that's because I thought it was like a bad word, that I didn't want to be an empath. But after reading this book, I know that I'm a superhero. So if you could tell us your vision of what is an empath.
Well, I'm a psychiatrist, I'm an MD, and I'm also an empath. So I combine my traditional psychiatric skills, 14 years of medical training, with empathy and intuition. And so I combine all that when I see people and treat people, and they're a natural coming together of forces. And everybody has both a linear mind and intuition as well as empathy. And so healing to me is about integrating all of that and having the mind, body, spirit in harmony. Now, I wrote the Empath Survival Guide and Thriving as an Empath to give empaths tools to center themselves, to reduce suffering, to stop absorbing other people's energy and emotions, because empaths can be emotional sponges. And when it comes to chronic pain, empaths are often very open to other people's pain. It's what I call empathic illnesses, where an empath is so sensitive and not the same filters that other people have, that you can go out and be so absorbent and so porous that you can pick up the emotional or physical pain from other people into your own body, and that could compound your own pain or discomfort, or it can cause its own syndrome, the empathic illness. So it's important, if you're challenged with chronic pain, is to ask yourself if you're an empath in front of the Empath Survival Guide, there's a 20-question self-assessment test, which include questions such as, have I been labeled as, quote, overly sensitive?
Where is this? That's in the workbook?
It's in the Empath Survival Guide, and at the end of chapter 1 is the 20-question self-assessment test
Okay.
to take to find out if you are an empath and how much of an empath you are. Because it's important.
Right behind me.
It's important to know if you are an empath, because how you process the world is very different than how others process the world. And so I wouldn't know. When I was a little girl and I was an empath, I couldn't go into shopping malls and crowded places because I'd walk in fine and walk out with some physical symptom, or anxious or depressed or exhausted, and I didn't know what was happening. And what now I understand is that empaths are just sponges for the subtle energy in their environment. So if you go out to a crowded place with lots of people, they're going to have big energy fields, and the empath is wide open to that. And until you learn the self-care techniques in thriving as an empath, and in the Empath Survival Guide, you absorb it and you take it on, and you don't know what's what. And all you know is you feel awful, and you feel pain, or you feel depressed, and you can't sort it out. So one of the questions that an empath always has to ask themselves is this emotion or pain mine, or is it somebody else's? As I know, as a little girl, my mother was very anxious and had a lot of physical pain. And so I took that on inadvertently, because empaths are helpers and healers, and they want to give. They jump into other people's bodies and want to suck it up and take it away, which is not a good thing. But you just you do it, but you have to learn how not to do it, and how to hold space for others and not take on.
And that's what I would love to learn.
Yeah.
I know a lot of us would.
You've got to learn it, but for everyone listening who has chronic pain, it's really worthwhile to assess if you're an empath and determine if you're taking on other people's stuff. If you overhelp and exhaust yourself, that's another quality of being an empath, where you just want to help everybody else, but you're not really honoring your body when the signs say rest, and you keep pushing to help yet another person. You have to learn how to say no. No is a complete sentence. And I had to learn that, and I have to set very clear boundaries with others. Otherwise, I risk exhaustion.
Right.
And I don't want to get to the place of exhaustion. I want to nip it in the bud before it gets to that place, because then you've really got to recover, from exhaustion. Yes. And so the secret is really self-care. And the book that you love so much, the Daily Self-Care, Thriving as an Empath, it's just a few paragraphs each day about how to practice different kinds of self-care. And the art of holding space for others is one of the days. And so if you just read a little bit, it's not taxing, just a short little inspirational devotional to help build your energy and self-soothe you. It's really nice, and I really enjoyed writing the book. And
the other day I was looking at this, and I highlighted it as well as the stickies. It was on Feeling Free. It was August 31st, and that one really, really spoke to me. It said, "Free." Sorry, my accent is not great today. Freeing your mind from the prison of fear is paramount to expanding your lightness of being. That, you're absolutely right. And when I read that, because we talk about, letting go of our illnesses and, still being proactive if we have to, but not being obsessed with it. That's what our group's really about. So we were talking about freedom the other day, and that quote really just got to me, and is paramount. Freedom from the prison of fear, because I was asking the other moderators, what do you think ultimate freedom would be? And they had great answers. I had some really good answers too, freedom from pain and all that. But it was really, when I dug down deep, it was really freedom from fear.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Freedom from fear, and freedom from fear of pain or fear of
Right.
health or fear of lack of mobility, fear of whatever fear you have. It's important to list your top 5 fears and to really know that if your emotional buttons are pushed around that, you really need to work with that to begin to free yourself from those buttons. Because the one thing about recovering from chronic pain and or illness is that you have to go a day at a time. And that's one of the principles, in 12 steps and in the book, is that you can't catastrophize about the future. You're lost if you start either feeling the victim, or if you catastrophize about the future. You have to stay in the here and now with this body, learning to interpret the intuitive messages of pain. Like if I get pain in my body, I tend to somaticize. So if something emotional happens or I absorb from other people, I tend to bring it in my own body. That's just how I've always been. It's called being a physical empath. And I try not to do
Being
that.
an invisible empath?
Physical.
Physical. Oh, okay.
The physical empath, where physical empaths actually take on the symptoms of others in their bodies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so
like if you're hurting.
You're really intuitive.
Yeah, I am.
It must drive you crazy.
Well, no, I look at it as kind of a spiritual challenge. And I wouldn't give up being an empath for anything in the world, because it allows me to see into people. It allows me to have incredible intuition and compassion and connection to nature and to love and to the secrets of the universe. And we were just talking about the difficult parts before, but the positive parts, you're alive and you're passionate and you're connecting. And connection is very important to me, whether it's to nature, to people I love, to trees, to the written word, to poetry, whatever. I want to connect with it. I don't want to be a distance from it. I want to be in the life force. And the empath, being an empath, lets me do that. But the downside of being an empath is that you don't want to absorb all the world's suffering. And so you have to learn techniques such as shielding yourself, picturing yourself in a bubble. When I go shopping now, it's very stressful for me. It's the energy in the world. And so I to stay very focused. I picture a bubble all around me. I don't make eye contact with people. I just stay in my own lane, do my own shopping in and out without making a big story about it or dramatizing it, just, like a warrior going through the store. So I set my mind a certain way before I go in, which prevents me from absorbing all the fear and stress and weird energy in the world now.
And that works well for you.
Most of the time.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Is that in thriving as an empath?
Oh, I read it all the time.
Is it?
Thriving. Yeah, me too. I just see, look at all my little stickers.
I love it.
Unfortunately, there isn't a table of contents, so I have to remember where my favorites are so I can keep reminding myself of what I've written. I mean, I wrote it and I believe it and I practice it, but reading it again is really helpful to me on my path. It's always been that way with my books. I've always read my
fantastic. With telling us that it's okay to be an empath, more than okay, it's a superpower, I think you call it. That's the first time I believe that I've ever heard it described that way. And it was very freeing for me, because I would be told, growing up all my life, oh, you're so sensitive, get over it. Well, first of all, I would if I could. But then after reading from you, maybe I wouldn't, because that's what makes me me. And, I'm a good friend and to everybody else. The type, people talk to me about their stuff, and that's a really nice thing. But your book and telling us how to deal with it is really, really important. And I had never seen that kind of writing before about this.
Thank you. Thank
Beautiful.
You. I put my heart into it, and it's through living it, and it's through being an empath and knowing what works in my life, because if it doesn't work, I'm not interested in it. I don't care how good it sounds. So it's got to work.
What else do you think the challenges would be for somebody with like a chronic condition, either mental or physical? Can you see any others? They're so interchangeable, which is astounding to me that they really aren't just for one particular type. And I was telling people when I advertised that you don't, even if you don't consider yourself an empath, you want to hear this.
Yeah, well, pain is a challenge in the body, but what you don't want to do is to become obsessed with the pain. And I know you have a policy on your site where no complaining. Is that right?
It's no complaining, but we have 2 days with a live chat where you can talk about whatever you want. So it's not that we're against it. It's just we wanted a place where people can just go and not have to listen to all that stuff, because there's a million groups about that and they're great. But, we just wanted a place, like you said, to kind of escape a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's good. But the thing is with pain is that there are messages to pain. And what I see with empaths is that they feel the pain, but they don't go into the sensation. And so it's important when you have pain, when I have pain in my body, I'll breathe, I'll go into meditation and I'll feel the pain in my body. And then suddenly flashes will come to me, or memories, or insights, or ahas. But there's an intuitive reaction to the sensation that you need to explore. And so it's really worth going into the pain itself, not to exacerbate it, but to explore it little by little. And if it's too much, if it just worsens it, then go slow. But it's worth the inquiry, because intuitively, each organ, each tissue, everything has intelligence, intuitive intelligence, and it's beautiful. And it's speaking to you through your sensations in the body. And so what you say to your body hears. If you say, I hate my body, I hate the pain, I'm too fat, I'm ugly, or whatever you want to say to yourself, the negative things, your body hears that, and it goes, oh my God, it's talking about me. So don't think it doesn't hear it. And so it's very important to be loving to every organ in your body, your stomach, your GI tract, your pancreas, your back, your bones, every part of you is sacred and beautiful. And, to be able to go into your intuitive healing process with that attitude rather than self-loathing.
Yes, we work a lot on that too. We do we call it a breathing break in the afternoon, where you sit and just be, because we all forget to breathe and we forget to be. So that might be a good time to do that, or even a new day to just push ourselves to do that. I think that's a great idea. I can't believe it's after 8 already. I apologize to everybody, including you, Judith, for the technical difficulties. I'm glad we got a little bit of you, and thank you so much for being with us. It was a real treat. And I'm sorry I couldn't get your questions, guys, but I will forward them to Judith, and maybe she can answer them when she gets some time.
All right. Well, I just am so glad to meet your group. Hello, everyone. And I just honor you and your process of healing. So it's so great talking to you.
Okay. Thanks, Judith. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye,
everybody. Bye, everybody. Peace and love.